There you go. So please take a comfortable seat. Maybe you could say a joyful seat, a stable seat. You've made it to class, and I'm glad that you're here. So you can rest your hands in your lap and let your eyes close. And welcome your attention to come into your body in the present moment. We were talking earlier this morning in our yoga teacher training about the Gunas. They're called tamas, rajas, and sattva. And the analogy I was using in their early morning class was tamas, which means stability, also can mean things like consistency or security. And sometimes it means that which is inert, like a stone. But tamas in our spiritual life and our spiritual practice is having enough stability, enough grounding that we can add the rajas, and then we can add the tamas, and the sattva, excuse me. So tamas, you could imagine it this morning like the clay is set upon the wheel, on the potter's wheel. And when it's at rest there, it's in the state of tamas. It has potential, it's stable, it has a form, it's dense, it has the possibility of becoming something, but while it's sitting right there, it has the quality of tamas. In the same way, when you take your seat right now, you have a form and some density, a physical density. Maybe you also have some mental density, but there's potential because you've taken your seat. So let's feel into this density that is also our stability and contributes to a sense of grounding. And is also required for us to tap back into or to align with our potential. The same lump of clay, not placed on the potter's wheel, may have inherently similar enough potential, but it's not placed in alignment with the opportunity. So appreciate yourself for arriving in class and for placing yourself in the opportunity. And then begin to breathe a little bit more deeply into your body and do that intentionally, like one breath at a time becomes slowly, incrementally, a little deeper, more expansive, a little bit longer breath. You could imagine, as I said earlier this morning for the teacher training students, it's as if the potter just gave the first little kick to the wheel. So this is not an electric wheel. This is where the potter has to keep the wheel in motion. And the foot that spins the wheel can have a certain rhythm. And you sense the potter's wheel begins to turn, like the breath begins to deepen. The breath begins to lengthen. Now you are adding rajas to tamas. You're setting in motion the potential. You're adding action to that which was inert. The clay on the wheel without the wheel moving, has only the elements of tamas expressed. We add the movement, and here comes rajas, rajas, rajas. Now, if the potter had no clay on the wheel but spent time spinning it and made it even a perfectly balanced spin, lots of rajas, but without the materials for transformation, that would not be more useful than having the clay sitting somewhere else, not on the wheel. So these two qualities come together, the tamas and rajas. So here in our physical practice, it's you arriving to be in the present moment, and it's you adding your intention and your motivation for being here. Now let's lift that intention or motivation to go up beyond our own personal needs, beyond our own personal desire. And that's where sattva starts to emerge. Rajas is tempted to become self-occupied in the human condition. So raise your intention up to be important to you for sure, first, second, and third chakra. But let this intention also come upwards towards your heart, your throat, your vision, your mind. And then the potter, after much training and experimentation and consistency in potting, spinning pots, the potter then applies his or her hands to this clay. And the fingers go in and the pot begins to be formed. In that moment, the clay, having already surrendered to the momentum of the wheel, then surrenders to the pressure of the fingers. And we were speaking with Rumi, he would say that God is the potter and we are the pot. And let yourself be spun by love. This would be if we were speaking in a Rumi-esque way. So in our practice today, we have a sense that it's being shaped, as it were, by something divine. You can bring your hands together at your heart, acknowledging again you placed yourself in these conditions. You have tamas. You've given yourself some intention, some motivation. Your dedication to practice is here, that is your rajas. And then we ask for the sattvic thing to happen. And so we'll chant asatoma satgamaya tamasoma jyotirgamaya mrityoma amritam gamaya. And when we say asat toma sat gamaya, the word sat is there. So sattva has sat, asat toma, and sat gamaya has sat. It means truth, that which is clear, that which is true. And we say tamasoma, tamas, the guna of tamas. May we not only be a lump of potential, may we also be transformed. In the word jyoti, we say jyotir gamaya. May we be transformed to that which is luminous, that which is, we could say, sattvic. Okay, let's chant together, please. Om Asatoma Satgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Asatoma Satgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorama amritam gamaya. Om asatoma satgamaya. Tamasoma jyotirgamaya. Mrityorama amritam gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om. With your exhale, you may bow your head to your heart. Release your hands. Just open your eyes. And to move back away from this fan, I'm going to go to my yoga mat. And we're going to stay seated for a moment. Let me just get the camera replaced. There we go. Okay, so I would recommend you sit on a blanket. If possible, you can sit cross-legged. If you need, you can have more than one blanket. And also to have 2 blocks close by. Often I sit on my physio ball to do this with you, but the fan hasn't stopped running, so I'll be here. And Andrew can check the chats for me, since I now can't see them from here. Okay, so when you sit, this is called Siddhasana, when you put the heels aligned like this. This, crossing the ankles, is called Sukhasana. And then 1 foot up, like in half lotus, is called Ardha Padmasana, half lotus pose. If possible, you can sit with your pelvis and then heel to heel. And not all knees bend that much, I know. So you might sit up on a couple more blankets, in which case you probably support your knees because you'll be higher up. And if necessary, of course, change your position and adapt to the circumstance here. Interlace your fingers, take the heels of the hands forward. And start breathing the Ujjayi breath into the back hemisphere of your body. You can give a little push through the arms, almost like you're doing cat pose, but not really rounding the back just yet. It's the same push you would use for cat or plank pose. Let's make the Ujjayi breath simple, but strong and stable. Balance your inhale with your exhale. And respect the pauses at the top of your inhale and the pause at the bottom of your exhale. Now, when you next exhale, turn your palms to face towards your heart, hold the elbows wide, and press your chest forward. And inhale, push forward, round your spine like you're actually doing cat pose. And exhale, draw in, lift your heart, bring the heels of your palms and hands towards your chest, squeeze the shoulder blades. Inhale, press forward, round your spine like cat pose. And exhale, draw in. Inhale, push forward, and imagine you're pressing away anything that would distract you during your practice. And exhale, draw in a sense of intention, motivation, the desire for your practice to be useful to you and beyond you. Inhale again, push forward. And exhale, draw in. Now inhale to press up. And exhale to your right. Inhale, rise up. And exhale to your left. Inhale, rise up. And exhale to open wide. Now we're going to walk forward, and that's where the 2 blocks come in for the first go. When you walk forward from Siddhasana like this, walk your hands forward, even if the blocks have to be tall. You're welcome to do it like that if you need to. And balance your head between your upper arms, or have the head a little bit higher than your upper arms based on your spine. But please don't hang your head lower than your upper arms right now. Now, whatever height you've placed your hands on, we want that to make sense to your body with your hips still grounded. And though your spine is in a forward bend, the arms are outstretched. I'm going to ask you to inhale and make the spine like cat pose, like a little hint of cat pose. And then exhale and allow the spine to have a little hint of cow pose. So on the inhale, press your palms down and broaden the back of your waist, the back of your heart. On the exhale, you can imagine you're pulling your hands towards you as you bring your heart forward towards your thumbs and towards the blocks. And then again, inhale to press down. And exhale, pull your hands towards you, aim your heart forward, widen your collarbones, open your chest. One more time. Press down with both palms, breathing into the back of your body. And exhale, heart forward. And then walk your blocks back and place them on either side of your yoga mat like this. And pause for a moment, come back to tamas. What now is the news of the body? And then switch which foot is in front. So you get to change it up, you have some diversity there. Okay, interlace your fingers, inhale to go up. And then exhale over to your right side. So place your right hand on the block, bend your right elbow, and curve the spine more deliberately like a side bend. Almost like you're doing like a cat pose to the side here. And then exhale and lengthen up like you're more like a shooting star. Inhale, curve. Exhale, rise. Inhale to curve. Now exhale to rise, root down as you exhale to make the rising possible. And one more time, inhale to curve. And exhale, rise up, make a half circle, left hand to the other block. Okay, inhale, arms up overhead. Interlace the fingers, change the interlace by 1 digit. And exhale to your left. Press firmly into this block. So what you're able to do is kind of accentuate the side bend in the right side of your waist. Inhale to fill out the right parachute. Exhale, raise up, aiming to your left. Inhale to curve, expand into the right side waist like a parachute. And exhale, root down for this rising up. So the right low belly should feel activated when you come up like this. And then inhale, keep your right hip grounded, expand the right side of your waist. Exhale, root down to aim your shooting star, as it were. One more time. And then exhale like a half circle, up and over. Now cross your left hand to your right knee and take this block back behind you. And using your Ujjayi breath, let's make the inhale equal to the exhale and remind yourself that in this analogy, tamas has potential. It's dependent upon the rhythm, the consistent rhythm of the potter's wheel. You could have a chaotic rhythm for that wheel and you'll create a very different piece of art. So make the rhythm of the breath really consistent and see what that does to the rhythm of your mind and therefore the sattvic potential of your practice. And so the rhythm of the breath is something within your internal leadership or orchestration. It does mean that your mind has to be stable enough to do something like counting the length of the inhale and the length of your exhale. So you have enough tamas, enough mental tamas stability to count, but you are not so tamasic that you forget to do it. And let's exhale, rotate around the face forward, take your left hand to the other block, right hand to your left knee, and twist to your left. So if the tamasic mind is too dull, it will forget to count. It'll kind of dismiss the importance of counting. If the rajasic mind is too active, it will distract you away from counting. So the gentleness of counting, this assignment is to say, let's bring balance between tamas and rajas to your mind, your breath, and your body. So as you're twisting, I trust that you also have the capacity to lightly say to yourself, inhale, 2, 3, 4, and so on. And you count so that your breath is equal to yourself, not equal to somebody else's. So one more breath cycle. And then exhale, come around to face forward. Now we're going to use the 2 blocks again. We're going to go a little bit sideways. Please change your legs once more so we get to keep having diversity. So put the other heel on the outside. And I'm going to ask you to take both blocks over to your right, so you can aim it as a little place where your hand's going to arrive. And when you walk over, come in a half circle, reach your left fingertips out, place your right hand up on the higher of the 2 of the blocks. So left hand on the floor, right hand on the blocks. Reach back with your left hip towards your blanket. And as you press down with both hands, make a little bit of a cat pose spine. And as you pull slightly back with both hands, make a little bit of a cow pose spine. So there's a kind of internal undulation to the spine, and your breath is like the sculptor, the potter, the hands of the divine inside the body, making art of the fabric of your body. Slowly allow the cat and the cow, the hunches, the hints of those expressions to also become a little twist to your right. And then walk yourself back to center, rise up. And place the blocks on the other side. And you might not side bend as far as you're watching me do, but within your own reach, we're going to come forward and to the left. So walk your right fingertips out, keep your right hip grounded on your blanket to the best of your ability. And take your left hand out over top of the blocks. And a little hint of cat pose during your inhale, and a little hint of cow pose during your exhale. And start adding a little twist to your experience. So it can be very internal for you, the pace of your breath, like a nice rhythm, as if you were the foot of the potter, keeping the momentum just right. And then walk yourself back to center, rising up. And sit once again, a moment of tamas, a moment of stability, which still has potential. These moments are to prevent your rajasic mind from pulling you out to left field, right field, any field. To stay here instead. You now put your blocks aside and come over to your hands and knees. You can use one blanket for the knees. We're on our way to downward dog pose. So one blanket for the knees. You can place the knees so that they're going to be hip distance apart. Place your hands in table pose. Now, if this was just table pose, quadruped pose, let's imagine that your right hand then is like the claws of the cat. Step your right hand forward. Press your fingertips into the floor, and as you bring your left elbow down, twist to your right. And then press into your left palm. Inhale to table pose. Step your right fingers forward. As you bring your left elbow down, right elbow down, excuse me, twist to your left. So left fingers are forward. And then inhale, press down into your right hand, table pose. Repeat, take the right fingers forward, left elbow down. Please twist a little bit to your right. Press into your left hand, return to table, left hand forward, right elbow down, twist a little bit to your left. And then press down, come to table. And curl your toes under, reach high to your downward facing dog pose. Okay, so your dog pose is symmetrical. And as you press back into this downward dog pose, gaze back between your toes and heels and let the eyes now start contributing to this tamas, this stability. And what needs the most stability during your yoga practice is actually your mind. Particularly if your mind goes to lethargy, that's not a stable place. It's extremely stable, past stable, but it's stable lethargic. It's not stable like potential. But if your mind goes to rajas, that's a highly distracted state. That is not so helpful either. So gaze with your eyes back between your heels and toes, and let that steady gaze and the steady breath help you to stabilize your mind and to energize your body. Now begin to walk your hands backwards. I'm going to ask you to do this really slowly, like push into your left arm, pick up your right hand, press into your right hand, pick up the left. You have to hurdle over your blanket and walk backwards until you are in Uttanasana. Set your blanket aside with one hand and energize your legs. So your toes, your heels, your arches. And as you inhale, bring your torso forward, heart forward, open your throat, gaze forward. Now exhale and trace your eyes on your mat until you're gazing back behind your heels in Uttanasana. Inhale, glide forward and trace your eyes smoothly on the floor towards the front edge of your mat or beyond. And exhale, Ujjayi, as you trace your eyes on the floor back between your heels. Twice more. So even here, how you're using the eyes, we want that to be smooth, not like a dotted line, not a staccato line, but a smooth line. Last one. And exhale to bow, gazing back between your inner heels. Now inhale, rise up and make a smooth action for your eyes on the floor, on the horizon, and up to your thumbs. And then exhale, hands to your heart, and your gaze can go to your fingertips. Now inhale, gaze down as your hands separate, and as you move the arms, move your eyes at the same pace. So your hands meet, and so do your eyes. And then exhale and follow your gaze down, horizon, floor, floor, back between your heels. Inhale, rising up, gaze forward and pace your arms, your eyes, your hands, and your inhale. And exhale, sit down to chair pose and trace your gaze down to a steady spot on the floor in front of you. Inhale, rise up and lift your gaze as your body rises. Look up between your thumbs. And exhale, Uttanasana, so gaze forward, and then the floor, the toes, the heels, and beyond. Last time, inhale, going forward with your gaze, rising up so that your eyes and your thumbs meet together. Chair pose, Uttanasana, bring your gaze down and forward. And inhale, raise your torso and your arms and your gaze simultaneously. Exhale to your heart, where at first you saw your thumbs, now you're looking at your fingertips. And then close your eyes. And try to sense the indwelling tamas, the amount of stability you have with potential. And then your rajas, how much motivation is needed, how much action or direction. Remind yourself your practice is not only for your own gain, not only for your own welfare. And standing on your right foot, we're going to come into tree pose. So pick up your left foot, find your tree pose. I'm going to change my camera so that my head won't be cut off. So when you stand in tree pose, particularly for this morning and any other time where you need to make accommodations, but since we're valuing tamas and rajas, so we can have the sattvic experience, in your tree pose, choose where to place your foot so you have the most stability and the most potential. Turn your hands to your heart. Bring your gaze down to start. So that's a more stable place to gaze. So you're adding mental tamas to support the physical stability. Tone your right outer hip and lengthen your left inner thigh. Tone across your seatbelt muscles, your lower abdomen. And with your Ujjayi breath, keep your gaze down as you raise your arms up. So you're adding rajas when you raise the arms. You're adding energy. It does not need to make you feel ungrounded. And keeping your gaze steady, lower your right arm as you side bend to your right. Lengthen out through your left thigh like a beautiful branch on a tree. Lengthen up through your left arm like another branch on the tree. The right arm can be relaxed, it's dangling, like a willow. And then exhale, root into your left low belly to bring your torso upright. Raise your right arm. And if you have the mental and physical stability for it, then trace your eyes up to your thumbs. And then hands coming down to Anjali Mudra, where you'll be gazing at your fingertips. Try to bring the eyes smoothly down. And then step your left foot down to the floor. I think of that smooth transition of the eyes like we would all prefer on the train, that we stay on the tracks between destinations, that we don't just experience the little bullet points on the map of the destinations. And so standing on your left leg now, place your right foot high, medium, or low. You decide. Based on the need for tamas. Tone your left outer hip. Lengthen your right inner thigh. Tone across your lap belt muscles, your transverse abdominis, most intrinsic there, and the obliques on top of that. So the Ujjayi breath is also essential for your balance. Keep that consistent with your eyes also consistent as you raise your arms. And then lower your left arm, and as you begin to side bend to your left, make the left outer hip a little stronger, right inner thigh a little longer. The left arm can dangle like a willow branch. While breathing in and breathing out, connect into your right low belly as an anchor to exhale and come upright. If you have the physical and mental tamas for it, then inhale and trace your eyes up to look between your palms. And then hands to your heart. Try to keep your Ujjayi breath going as you bring your gaze down to your fingertips. And then place your right foot back on the floor, mountain pose. And now Surya Namaskar, and I'm going to ask you to use blocks because we'll be doing a little bit of work in plank pose, and always things are optional in class. So when you see where we're going to go with plank, please know it is optional. Join your hands together. And check and see again. So now, where's the clay on the wheel? Where's your mind? What is the rhythm of the spinning of the potter's wheel? And where are you between a sense that this practice is about you, or the practice is on behalf of yourself and the welfare of the whole? Just notice where you are on the spectrum. Don't judge yourself for what you find out. For sure, for some of us in tree pose, we're like, oh my God, it's all about me. I hope I don't fall over. But after tree pose, we remember there's a larger humanity that we're a part of. So only noticing, not judging. Now, Ujjayi breath, inhale. Raise your gaze up to your thumbs. Exhale, chair pose, Uttanasana. Trace your eyes down to a place on the floor. A steady dristi, the word is called dristi. Inhale, rise up. And exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale, glide your heart forward. Trace your eyes on the floor to a steady place. Exhale, left toes back. Gaze back towards your left toes as you complete the exhale. And then inhale, trace a line on the floor, forward past your mat, up the wall, up towards the sky. See your thumbs meeting. Now follow your next exhale, arms wide, gazing down, down. The fingers will find the blocks, but gaze towards your left big toe. Then inhale, step forward. Bring your eyes forward on the floor, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, right toes back, and as you gaze back, make it a smooth line to see your right foot. Inhale to rise, gaze steady, breath steady, movements are steady. Continue breathing in and breathing out. As you exhale, start opening the arms and use your gaze, not in any kind of grasping manner, but to keep your mind steady, gaze back to your right toes. Now inhale, step backwards, gaze backwards. Downward dog pose. Exhale, forward to plank pose. Make a smooth line on the floor with your eyes. Inhale inside your plank pose here. And then exhale, squeeze your right knee up between your elbows. Inhale, plank pose. Exhale, left knee forward. Keep your eyes really steady so they're not darting about. The breath is smooth, your eyes are smooth. Inhale, back to plank. Exhale, right knee forward to touch your left elbow. Inhale to plank. Exhale, left knee forward, touch your right elbow. Inhale to plank. Exhale, reach back to downward dog and gaze back between your heels. And then exhale, right foot forward, left foot forward. Uttanasana, completing your exhale and your movements all at once. Inhale, rise up, Urdhva Hastasana. And hands to the heart. Now inhale to rise, lift your gaze. We're going to be adding a twist to chair pose. It's a twist we don't do as often. On your exhale, come down to chair pose. Now pause here for the in-breath. And then exhale, bring your left elbow to your right knee. Join your palms together and twist to your right. Press your left elbow down against your right knee. That's going to help you with the twist to be in your upper back. Try to keep the legs steady so your left knee is not darting forward of your right knee. And breathing in. When you exhale, come back to chair pose. Now start the process of placing your right elbow at the outside of your left knee. Join your palms together and rotate your upper back and your heart to your left. Notice what your eyes are doing. It's possible to find a place to gaze with steadiness, but just notice what the eyes do when something is now less familiar, even less familiar in this particular sequence. With a strong exhale, return to chair pose. Inhale, rise up, gaze up. Exhale, press your arms wide and return simply to Anjali Mudra, and your eyes can meet your fingertips right there. Okay, let's add that twist to the lunge pose. So come down so you've got both hands on the block. Step your left foot straight back. And then hook your left elbow over your right knee. And one way to do that is to place your right hand on your thigh, push down here, swish your belly across your lap, and then hook your left elbow. Join your palms together. Press the elbows wide. So your right elbow goes up towards the ceiling. And you can gaze back between the window, we said this yesterday, I think, the window between your torso and your hands. Keep the left leg steady. And your breath and your mind also steady. Now rotate to gaze down somewhere near your right foot. And take, if you are adventuresome and have the flexibility, place your left fingertips on the floor outside of your right shin or on your block. That'll deepen your twist to the right. For those who would like to, you can raise your right arm high in the twist. And then when it's time to, you exhale to release, left hand to its block, right hand to its block, step backwards to plank pose, and notice the temperature in plank pose in each of your legs. Keep noticing the temperature. This is like doing mountain pose, but with a little bit of arm strength. Okay, downward facing dog pose. Now step your left foot forward between your hands. Okay, and you're going to be hooking your right elbow over your left knee. So place your left hand on your thigh. Push down. Swish your belly across your lap. Good. And then hook your right elbow to the outside of your left knee. Yeah, join your palms together and twist. Raise your left elbow towards the ceiling. Yeah. Good. Keep the right leg strong behind you. And you can gaze back through that little window between your torso and your hands and your arms. And those who have the flexibility for it, which means many areas of flexibility, you can place your right fingertips down on the outside of your left ankle. You can use your block. And if you'd like to, you can raise your left arm. And then when you exhale to release that, you're going to place your right hand on its block, left hand on its block, and step backwards to plank pose. And notice the temperatures of your legs. And then really lightly touch your knees down. Reach backwards to child's pose. Take one block for your head like this. The other block can go aside. Turn your palms face up. We call this pranam when you put the palms face up. And then we practice this balance between really accepting what your body's capacity just was. The balance between that acceptance and the arrival in the present moment. The poses you were just doing are now memories in your body, but they aren't actually happening explicitly in this moment. So you come to child's pose and be in child's pose. You might be watching your heart rate or your breath rate, your body temperature. All of these things, the housekeeping chores of the body. Please walk your hands back towards your knees. Take one block for Vajrasana. So come to sit. You could also call this Virasana or Zazen. We're neither really sitting on the heels nor between them, so it's not actually Vajrasana nor Virasana. It is like Zazen, more like that because of the bench. Zazen is a seated posture in Zen meditation, done from kneeling. You can rest your hands in your lap. Notice the quality of tamas, the quality of stability, with a sense of the potential inside that stability. The quality of rajas, purposeful motivation, intention with action. And the emerging opportunity or possibility of sattva. Your practice is not only for you. Now, a couple of days ago, we were doing a little breakdown of cobra pose, and we're going to come back to this pose because it's a really helpful way to experience enough tamas, enough rajas, and the possibility of sattva. So you take a blanket folded, and place this down your mat lengthwise. I have a lump in here somewhere. There we go. And when you're going to lie on this, your pubic bone is going to be at the edge of the blanket back here. And you can have blocks close by for a variation on this pose that we'll be doing. The variations are always optional, of course. So then start by coming down onto your abdomen in a pose called Makrasana, which means make a little pillow of your hands. If the if the blanket's short enough that there's more of you going beyond your blanket, then make a little blanket extensor like this. And rest your head down. So in Makrasana, all we're focusing on actually is letting the body breathe itself. So you as the doer, the actor, the one making the effort, you can relax and let your body take care of the efforts. Notice the expansion that comes at the back of the waist, even when the breath is easeful and is sort of organizing itself. Now in cobra pose, what we're going to be doing, let's think of the lower half of the body as being really about that tamas, the sense of grounding, stability, rooting. So take your tailbone towards your pubic bone, which you're going to feel your pubic bone pressing against the blanket. Energize your leg muscles. Root the tops of your feet, even the tops of your toes. So the lower body should feel already more rooted and it's engaged. Put the block aside, the one that might be under your head right now. And take your hands underneath your shoulders so that the tops of your fingers are near to the tops of your shoulders. Gaze down towards the floor and circle your shoulders forward. Then take the shoulders up towards the ceiling and then back towards your hips. Now with the legs still steady, start pressing your palms down to pull your heart forward, like we did in those hints of cow pose earlier. You press the hands down to pull your heart forward. So the hands actually are kind of isometrically pulling your mat towards you. As you rise up to this cobra pose, then bring your gaze forward somewhere on the floor. So this will be your inhale, the top of your inhale in Bhujangasana. And then when we exhale, we're going to go down, but maintain cobra in the shoulders, heart, legs. But bring your eyes and your head back down to center. And then inhale, glide forward. Trace your eyes on the floor towards their destination, that which you were just looking at before. And then exhale, and again, trace your eyes. Concentrate on moving at the pace of your breath with your eyes. So inhale, Bhujangasana. And exhale. We call this pranam. It's a variation on pranam when you come down and you're kind of bowing your head to your heart. One more time. Inhale, Bhujangasana. And exhale, pranam, coming all the way down. Make a little pillow of your hands. Turn your head to your right. Observe what wants to happen next with your breath in your body, and recognize that you are not the doer. That inclination inside your body knew it already. Now bring your head to center, and for this one, take your arms out in a T shape on the floor. You can start with your head turned to the right. Okay, energize your legs so that again, your tailbone kind of chases your pubic bone. The tops of the thighs and kneecaps can be grounded. Press down with the tops of your feet and your toes. And then as you inhale, start taking flight from the back of your shoulders. Gaze at your right thumb, and as you inhale, then gaze forward. And exhale to come down, gaze over at your left thumb. Keep the legs energized. Inhale to rise. Take flight and your gaze comes forward. And exhale to lower down. Your gaze is going to go to your right. Okay, again, at your own pace. Keeping everything synchronized. As you exhale, you're going to be gazing at the completion of the exhale at one of your thumbs. The next time you come down and you're gazing to your left, that'll be the last one. Then make a pillow of your hands and turn your head to your left. And watch what your body next does there. Recognizing again, you aren't actually the doer. Your body will know some of its needs inherently. And our job, as it were, is to get out of the way. And then bring your head to center. Place the blocks are going to go actually under your palms, and you put them back so that you have, when you place your hands on the blocks, your fingers are going to be kind of lined up with the base of your sternum. Bring your head down this time. Energize your legs, tailbone, thighs, calves, the tops of your feet, the tops of your toes. Circle your shoulders around your heart in preparation for this cobra pose. And then inhale and slide your gaze forward on the floor until you are gazing forward. You have a little bit higher opportunity here now, so you can press down into two straight arms, and you can lift your head, your chin, open your throat. And then glide this forward and down. So your gaze will come back in towards your heart. And then one more time, inhale, rising slowly. You may straighten your arms. And this time, exhale, press down, lift your lower belly, and glide back to child's pose. You have the hands on the two blocks right now. Let's pull the blanket in as a support for the head, please. And then walk your hands back towards your knees and rise up to kneeling. Okay, now we're going to take a chair for a closing short sequence into Shavasana. And for this chair, I'm going to recommend that you also have your blanket and your two blocks. Let me get my chair to bring it onto the screen. So when you place the chair, we're going to start with the two blocks within reach, but place your hips on the blanket and roll into position like this. Good, and then let the knees come towards the chest. Put your feet on the front edge of the chair. And what you can do is reach your hands around to hold the back of the hamstrings. And let your body get really still. You can picture that you're like a little lump of clay. You're about to be on God's potter wheel. Watch what's happening inside physiologically. For me as a yoga scientist, I suppose I could say that, it's very intriguing what happens from cobra, where we just were, to this position, especially knees to chest, and what's happening now in your lower belly, or even in the pressure in your head, the blood supply going back to the head. Now touch your feet to the front edge of the chair for some stability. Pick up your hips, put the blanket aside, and take your two blocks. They're going to be on the medium setting. This is a reminder, we make a little triangle like this. And you're going to rest the edges of the sacrum on those two blocks. You have your hips relative to the height of your chair seat. The hips are kind of high. Relative to the floor, they're not that high. But now I'd like you to tip the chair with your feet, so you can also support your knees like that. Close your eyes and watch inside now. What is the general direction of the flow of energy in you? And what is that general flow of direction eliciting for your mind? For those who would like to, what you can add now is you'll place the chair flat down so your feet are on the seat of the chair. This is optional. You have the hips on the blocks, tuck the shoulders under like you're doing bridge pose, and take this up to candlestick pose. The pose we were just doing is, of course, completely suited. This is more intermediate and it's only optional. We'll do one more minute for either of the two poses. This is like a flushing of sorts for your system. From the poses we were doing, especially the sequence from that deep twist in the pelvis to the movement into your upper back and heart. This is flushing your system in the other direction. And then you can, if the legs are up in candlestick pose, go ahead and bend your knees. For everyone, then we have the legs out over the chair. The two hips are on the blocks. To shift from this position, I want you to have a stable chair. You pick up the hips and bring your blanket back under the back of your pelvis. At this time, you can then reach for your sandbag or your rice bag and take the special household item and place it on your lap. And the thing I like to do is actually move the sand to be on the bones, not on the belly itself. If you'd like to, you can then take another blanket. You're going to need a yoga Sherpa for all of this. You take the other blanket for the legs, maybe for the whole body, but also maybe just for your legs. And then let yourself come to rest. So you are the clay on the potter's wheel. This is God's wheel. This is the divine. So this is the most important pose in your whole practice this morning. You did a lot. Don't underestimate the power of synchronizing, concentrating the dristi of the eyes, the balancing of inhale and exhale, even the sequence of the poses. They may not seem advanced, some people, but what you're integrating, you've done a lot. Deep medicine. So invite yourself to rest for the final integration of the practice. The practice of Shavasana really is a practice requiring the surrender of so many things, but in yoga we also say the surrender of the perception that we are the doer. We are not the ultimate doer. We have responsibilities. We have duties. That life is an offering to us only for a certain duration of time. And what we say in yoga is that doer is the larger intelligence that's coming through. So even as you rest, your body's going to keep with your respiration, circulation, innervation. Allow your body to rest really deeply. The inner intelligence, the artistry is occurring. Invite yourself to really deeply receive, to rest profoundly. Rest very deeply. Let all the intelligences in you come back into rhythm and harmony. Invite your mind and your body not to depart the present moment. Allow the rest to be deeply nourishing. The multiple systems in your body that make up your well-being, they have permission right now to recalibrate back to your vitality and homeostasis. over the next several moments, start a gentle awakening of your attention to those systems of intelligence, circulation, respiration, innervation, digestion, immune, endocrine, the subtle body, musculoskeletal body, and just let the teachings of yoga echo for a few moments that you are not the doer. All of these systems have been offered to you. We're kind of borrowing them. May we be deeply respectful of this vessel. And the ecology on which it's completely dependent. You can lightly deepen your breathing. And gently wiggle your fingers and your toes. You can bend one knee at a time. And roll to your right side, please. Once you roll to your right, then you, in your own timing, can use both hands to return to sitting. Once you come up to sit, we can join in for some quiet together. So when you come back to this seat and you are the clay on the potter's wheel, sitting very still, you can sense the divine whirling in you. Like I mentioned Rumi at the beginning of class, and the Sufis have a whirling practice. But you can sense when you even come to stillness right now. Vitality, inspiration, the divine. Please bring your hands together at your heart. to sense that which is able to express itself through us now when we've had this kind of practice. Perhaps we could extrapolate this very personal and intimate model outwards to our communities of care, and beyond that to how our civilization cares for the planet and the ecology. May we sense, and may more and more of us sense, that the responsibility is ours. It's not somebody else's responsibility. So we'll close practice today with Loka Samasta. You can sing with me if you like. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you so much for being here, for giving your time, sharing your practice and your vitality. Namaste. Now I get to find out a little bit about how you're doing.